going to open up to questions from the audience. I'm going to be Phil Donahue and walk around. So,
I love that you use Phil Donahue and not Oprah Winfrey.
well, talk shows don't do that anymore, do they? It used to be the standard. They don't do it anymore. You, right? Yes.
Hi, thank you so much. That was really interesting. Why don't you think Vine is gonna be what's the downfall? Besides the fact that it takes a lot of time to upload, like the videos take a lot of time to upload. Like Steve Aoki is and Adam Goldberg, like there's like some really good content in there. But what do you think is the reason why it's not going to be the next big thing?
I think that the younger generation is really into it. If you're marketing, which we were at this Disney event that I was at, marketing from 9 to 11 ages, you want Vine and Instagram. I think that Twitter came up with it because they lost Instagram, because that was the perfect pairing was Twitter and Instagram, and then Facebook bought it, which was kind of an interesting play and good for them. But we all kind of lost. So I think they wanted to like up it and do a video platform. We just used it. It was super clunky. It was really, we could do like 4 Vine videos in a day. It's just, and it hasn't had the traction yet. It may, because that younger demo is really into it, and that would be the tipping point of it could explode. However, it was just really clunky to get those up. And if you are the ask that we had in Disney, not to give too much away, but we were launching the Instagram platform and Vine for them, and Instagram went up exponentially. We were doing the same amount of posts, and the engagement in Instagram, we increased it 2,000% in 2 days. And Vine, we maybe got 5 or 6 new followers. The good thing about Vine is you could take that content and then use it as a Twitter post. So I think it's an awesome content creating platform. I don't know if it's going to be a community platform that's going to be massive. And you guys can see me in 12 months and tell me I'm wrong, which I...
No, I agree with you 100%. Actually, just from a user experience, not a marketing experience, it's a pain in the ass to go through. It really is. It's like, and I don't want to follow more than a couple of people, because people are going to put up random stuff that I don't care about. So it's going to be a really small follow. But you're right. I think the content's interesting. So I have an artist in the studio right now, and they're having a blast with Vine. Each one of them are doing it, and then I can take that content and put it on the Twitter, etc. But as just like, oh look, let me get on Vine. It just user experience wise, I don't find it very friendly.
And the only reason those platforms are huge with that younger demo is because their parents won't give them phones yet. So they have their iPod touches, right? And so they can get those apps. So they're playing around on that. So that's my guess on that.
Interesting.
So once they get phones, it's going to advance.
Most of my clients have been around longer than most of those kids.
Yeah.
That's what's funny. As an artist.
I have.
As an artist, like 20 years.
So I had 2 questions. One of them was, you were talking about clients that count likes, which is something that I run into quite a bit. I was wondering how you deal with, sometimes they started counting dislikes, like we would compare people that like and then either hide the content or like to get a coupon and then dislike. Do you have any ideas for kind of, combating that metric when you start to see more dislikes than likes?
I would say that whatever contest was being run is not speaking to the innate passion point of the consumer that you're trying to reach. And I think that's the tricky part about coming up with contests and content that really, and what you said about being authentic, even if it's a huge brand, even if it's Walmart, it has to be authentic to the passion points of that consumer. Okay. And so if you're running contests and things that speak to them, they're not going to want to unlike. Because and that's another thing. It's all about educating the clients, which is a big ask, and it's a big hurdle to get over. And trying to get them to understand that the contests that they used to run on their website probably isn't the best thing to do in a social channel, because you now have to be respectful of that channel as much as the community to sell someone something, as opposed to just saying, okay, we'll do something loud and fabulous and everybody's going to come. That rarely happens now, even with a lot of money put towards it.
Okay, can I
So-
ask a second question? Sure. Okay, my second question, you guys mentioned that that Hootsuite wasn't the greatest platform for pushing out content. What do you think of Vitru?
I haven't used that, but I'm going to now. I'm going to go check it out.
Well, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just discovered Mention, which I've kind of been playing with a little bit too, but I don't know if I like it yet.
Yeah, I've
Hi. So you said that the big four were Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and YouTube always gets dissed, and then you proceeded to diss YouTube. So
I didn't diss you.
Well, no, I not diss YouTube, but like, let's talk about YouTube for a minute. Besides saying it's a big one, like, what should we do on YouTube? How do you get more people to say follow your channel, or just watch your videos? And what are good ways to maximize views? Any kind of YouTube tips?
used Vimeo.
Vimeo's so clunky. Talk about clunky.
Well, YouTube is so saturated right now, and their model is moving towards being a media buying model. So you're going to have to buy those spots in the future. So I would try and get traction on another channel that I don't.
Here's what I think about YouTube. I think much like you want to kind of sort of participate in Google Plus for some things, it's because you want to keep your ranking up in Google search. So YouTube is one of the places where people, especially younger generations, search. They use it as a search tool. Oh, I heard about this artist. I'm going to go on there. It's a huge search platform now. And so if you kind of treat YouTube as a discovery platform, then it's and not as much like monetization and all that. I think that's an interesting way to do that.
Yeah, and on YouTube and see how many videos aren't videos. They're just songs. There's no video at
Yes.
all. So that is exactly proves your point. Pardon me? TweetDeck. Oh yeah, I use TweetDeck. Yeah, TweetDeck has more capabilities.
You guys keep talking about publishing platforms, but I was wondering if you had any recommendations on analytics platforms, because I'm finding Sprout Social is what I tend to gravitate towards, but I'd love some other options besides like Facebook analytics.
Brandwatch, what I
Okay,
recommend.
okay.
That's an analytics
okay.
platform. Sorry if I wasn't clear on that. Yeah, that's an analytics platform.
Okay.
Yes.
And for music, there is Next Big Sound, and there's Music Metric.
Right, yeah. And also, real fast, back to the YouTube thing. I'm finding that with working with brands, you mentioned YouTube, and the first thing they think of is how expensive and high of a commitment is. So I was wondering if there's any ways, especially since you guys have histories in music, how to come up with very sort of like low commitment, cost-effective ways to keep people engaged in YouTube, with like sort of like if there's any sort of like shortcut or tips that you could. Because whenever I mention YouTube to any platform, it's always, it's too complicated, and then it becomes a moot point. So.
I did work with Red Bull Media House a lot with YouTube, and a lot of the guys, and they were guys, were specialists in YouTube, and there's really, the best way to do it is to work directly, and this is usually only with brands, work directly with YouTube, get a
Right.
rep, and figure out how to do that.
I'm talking more like on the grassroots level, like how to encourage these brands to create the content themselves, like tips or advice that you can give them to sort of help empower and enable them to create the content in order to even have stuff to put on YouTube at all.
I would give them a reason to create the content, come up with a really good campaign, and almost executive produce the content for them,
Okay.
and then ask them to produce the content.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
Have you had any examples of that we can share?
I haven't really.
Okay, 2 more questions and we're done because we're getting kind of late.
Thank you. Speaking in the voice of your artist or brand, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts on that.
Go ahead.
Sometimes you have to be really apparent if you're working with big artists that it's not the artist speaking. Like with Smashing Pumpkins, everyone knew Billy was talking over here, and same with Public Enemy, everyone knows Chuck's talking over here. The Afghan Wigs, I kind of took on an Afghan Wig's voice because I was very intimate with the music for a long time and knew it, so I can do that easy. Public Enemy as a whole is very difficult because I don't want to say stupid stuff because I'm a rock chick. And so I do a lot of retweeting of the other, of Chuck or Flav or anyone like that. And like I just signed Johnny Lang. So really it's about kind of getting into, it's learning who the superfans are and their language. And it takes probably about 30 days of really like absorbing their fan base, and then you can do it.
One last question. You already asked one. Who hasn't asked a question? Who wants to ask a question?
I don't really know the specific question I want to ask, but just on the topic of blogging, we haven't talked about that at all. And what kind of roles do you see blogging have in artists or, yeah?
We forgot about Tumblr.
Yeah. Well, I think blogging is really important for content creation, and I think it's really important to, if you're a brand, to put together an influencer program where you go and you identify those people that are talking about you and reach out to them and develop a conversation with them, a line of communication, and really get information from them and what they find in their communities, so that will help you market to those communities better. But I think Tumblr is very important, and I think that a blogger influencer program for any brand or initiative can be key to success.
How do you do that authentically? You know, because bloggers don't like to be sold to, and they're not really journalists, so they don't really abide by journalistic standards. So how do you go after bloggers?
You hire a company like Zuberance.
Well, I mean, are we talking about pitching to bloggers, or are we talking about having our brands and artists blog? That's two different
Well, I think
questions.
it was a bit, well, I guess it depends if you're an artist or you're a brand, right? I mean, if you're an artist, you're probably going to do your own and try to get audience for it. If you're a brand, then you want others to be talking about it more than I think you would do your own. Or am I wrong on that?
I don't know.
Does Ladies Who Brunch need a blog, or do I just need to market to women
Yeah,
in entertainment blogs?
That would be cool. A Tumblr blog for Ladies Who Brunch. What do you all think?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it two different
I
ways
think I have
here.
no time for that. If any of you would like to be the official Tumblr Ladies Who Brunch, see me afterwards.
I'm looking at it two different ways here. There's having me be the artist or the brand and going and working with people who blog is completely different than me trying to put out content that are blogs. We were always told a long time, you know, as an artist, oh, you should blog, and no artist likes to blog, and so everybody does short little blog. Like, I don't see artists blogging anymore. That's not really the case. It's like news posts on their website. So that's what I mean. It's like, are you talking about pitching bloggers to kind of write about you? That, to me, is online PR.
I can give you an example of what we did at Red Bull. We were doing a huge music festival and planning it, and in the plan was to, we identified all of these super fans of the headlining bands, and then we were going to fly them into Santa Monica and announce the show to them, and they would be the first to know about it, so it would encourage them to blog about it. So you can't really, say, blog about this or pay them to do it. However, you can create an event that they would want to talk about, create some sort of schmoozing of them, so to speak. Just kind of how they used to do with journalists.
Yeah, I just remembered what I had to do. There was a private party for the Smashing Pumpkins release, and Billy decided he wanted the fans to blog about why they should be there or to post. So I had to read through like 150 of them and pick 5. It sucked. But it worked. You know what I mean? It worked.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. Guys, thank you so much for coming. Thanks to my wonderful, gorgeous, intelligent panel.
Thank you,
We've been
Karen.
trying to
The
put this
green
together
angles.
for no shit like 4 months now. So I'm glad it finally came together.
Thank you.
If you have any
Yes, thank you.
questions for me afterwards, come see me. And another event, probably another month or so, and ladieswhobrunch.com. Yay. Thank you all for coming, guys. Bye.